Welcome to Mission Control. I am your flight director, and today we are initiating a high-stakes launch simulation. We're going deep into the telemetry data, specifically the official Cambridge AS and A-Level Arabic Language 8680 Paper 2 examiner reports. Look, we are isolating the exact module known as Two Passages on Related Themes, which deals with up to 750 words of Arabic text. In this explainer, we are going to map out the exact, uncompromising framework you need to achieve top-tier marks. We are basing every single coordinate directly on the senior examiner's feedback, treating this syllabus like a critical flight launch protocol that requires absolutely zero margin for error.
Now, what's really fascinating about the data we've extracted from the senior examiners is this profound realization. Securing maximum marks on this paper isn't about luck. It's not about guessing what the examiner wants. It is entirely about adhering to strict flight protocols. The reports are explicitly clear. Most candidates lose easy marks simply because they deviate from the established framework. They try to go off script. But listen, after we run through this explainer together, you are not going to be one of them. We're locking your trajectory right now.
All right, here is your official flight plan for today's launch sequence. First, our pre-flight mission briefing. Second, the procedural trajectory. Third, critical hazard avoidance. Fourth, a mid-mission navigation booster. Fifth, reaching orbit through evaluative analysis. And finally, our post-launch debrief.
Let's dive right into Section 1, our pre-flight mission briefing.
Okay, looking at the syllabus architecture, your assessment objectives are split into three distinct cognitive domains. You have to demonstrate an unshakable competence across all three to actually achieve a stable orbit. First up, we have knowledge and understanding. This is your raw rocket fuel. It's your grasp of Arabic vocabulary, grammar, and the explicit surface-level meaning of those 750 words. But here's what happens on the console all the time. I see students, let's call our hypothetical student Pilot Alex. Alex is a brilliant propulsion engineer. He overloads the system with raw fuel logs, dumping raw facts and data definitions onto the page. But because he only focuses on knowledge, he burns too much energy, writes too much, and completely runs out of time. He never reaches the second domain, analysis. Analysis is deconstructing how the writer uses language, structure, and tone. And here we get our second archetype, Pilot Sam. Sam is a navigation specialist who steers the flight layout incredibly fast into analysis, but ignores the structural boundary coordinates entirely. He completely misses the command word constraints. To avoid being an Alex or a Sam, you need the third domain, evaluation. Top-performing candidates exhibit a connected understanding that synthesizes both passages to form an evidence-based argument. That is how you reach orbit.
Moving on to Phase 2, the procedural trajectory. We need to calibrate the launch track.
To prevent system failure, examiners require you to follow a standardized, rigid procedural framework. It is a non-negotiable 6-step protocol. Think of it as your pre-launch checklist. Step 1, deconstruct the question. If your coordinates are wrong here, you're flying in the wrong direction. Step 2, extract the relevant Arabic quotes. This is pulling your raw data. Step 3, select your analytical framework. Step 4, execute the working with clear notation. Step 5, verify results. Ask yourself, does your evidence actually prove the point you are trying to make? And finally, Step 6, present with the correct terminology. Look, I cannot stress this enough. You cannot skip steps. I see candidates try to jump from deconstructing the question straight to presenting terminology, totally bypassing data extraction and verification. When you do that, your structural integrity collapses. You have to fly through every single step.
So, this brings us to an absolutely crucial concept, your method marks strategy. Think of method marks as your secondary rocket fuel. The examiner reports heavily emphasize that systematic analysis is fundamental to your success. You do not just get marks for magically arriving at the correct destination. You earn them by actively showing the examiner your problem-solving process right there on the page. If you just drop a final conclusion without documenting exactly how the two Arabic texts interact to build that conclusion, well, the examiner's radar can't track your logic, and you lose those crucial structural marks. Show you're working.
We are approaching the upper atmosphere now, which means Section 3, critical hazard avoidance.
Warning lights should literally be flashing on your console right now. Why? Because the single biggest, most catastrophic mistake candidates make across Paper 2 is deploying generic answers. The principal examiner reports are screaming about this. They explicitly state that students hemorrhage marks when they provide broad answers that ignore the specific context of the two passages. You absolutely cannot memorize a prepackaged essay or a generic response and paste it onto the exam. Every single point you make must be directly linked to the specific scenario and the specific evidence given to you in the prompt.
Let's dig into the telemetry and review the top 3 critical hazard warnings straight from the examiner logs. First, confusing cause and effect relationships. Candidates constantly misidentify the why. They misread why an author made a specific linguistic choice. Second, forgetting to check format and presentation. Remember, this is fundamentally an Arabic language paper. Sloppy formatting and poor presentation of your Arabic will drag your score down. And third, echoing our main warning, a total failure to specify the provided context. Ground your answers in the text.
Let's look at this visually. Notice the massive thrust difference between the two approaches here. On the left, we have a low-altitude generic answer. This is a descriptive trajectory. It burns fuel without actually moving forward. It throws out broad, unlinked statements. Something like, the author uses descriptive language to create an effect. Okay, great, but it's totally hollow. It lacks substance. Now look at the right side, a high-propulsion, contextualized answer. This evaluative launch pathway identifies the specific descriptive Arabic phrase, explains the precise effect it has on the passage's overall theme, and then connects it to the secondary passage. It's specific, it's evidence-backed, and it's exactly what secures those top-tier marks.
Section 4. Mid-Mission Navigation Booster. Launch trajectory hold. Before we deploy a structural power-up framework to stabilize your text flow and clear orbit, you need to optimize your own educational flight deck. Take a second right now to subscribe to Ace the Exams at the handle on screen and enable all notifications. We are pushing out weekly, flight-tested exam hacks to keep your academic performance peaking, whether you are launching at IGCSE, O-levels, or AS and A-levels. All right, let's get back to the console.
I am handing the console over to you for a live radar check. Look at the screen. We've hit a structural data loss mid-paragraph where a hypothetical student's evidence links are dropping, threatening a complete mission termination. Can you spot the exact line where the poor logic drops the score? Scan the data. Typically, a medium-tier response malfunctions at the exact moment a student makes a solid claim about passage 1, but totally fails to draw the cross-topic connection to passage 2. The examiner's radar is waiting for that comparative link, and when it doesn't arrive before the time fuel hits 0, the score plummets.
Excellent save! Now let's fire the secondary boosters for Section 5, reaching orbit through evaluative analysis. To hit the top-tier marking bands, to really get that A-star reading on your propulsion meter, your comparative analysis must be razor-sharp. You need to synthesize the two related passages by locking onto both similarities and differences. It is not enough to just list them either. You must use clear, sophisticated comparative connectives in your Arabic writing, and every single point must be supported by direct textual evidence. But here's the absolute game changer. The syllabus emphasizes relative importance. Top-scoring candidates don't just compare, they demonstrate evaluative thinking by drawing conclusions about the relative weight of these points. Which text is more persuasive? Which text's evidence is stronger? You have to weigh them and justify your decisions.
Of course, none of this matters if you run out of fuel. And your fuel is your time. Top-scoring candidates manage their temporal fuel budget by following an exact chronological problem-solving sequence. Watch the timeline. At T-minus 10 minutes, you extract the given information from the text. At T-minus 7 minutes, you break your analysis down into logical, structured steps. At T-minus 3 minutes, you run a diagnostic check for reasonableness. Does your argument actually align with the Arabic texts? And finally, at T0, touchdown, you make justified, evidence-based recommendations. If you ignore these structural timing boundaries and rush the process, your system will crash.
We have successfully cleared the atmospheric limits. Section 6, Post-Launch Debrief.
Our propulsion meters are peaking at a maximum A-star reading, but to ensure every future launch you execute is just as successful, you need to institutionalize these 3 universal rules derived directly from the examiner's playbook. Number 1, the 3-step question scan. Always decode the prompt thoroughly before you even think about writing. Number 2, the fuel budget allocation. Respect your timing limits. Don't spend all your time just translating the text in your head. Allocate your time to actual analysis and evaluation. And number 3, the post-launch system review checklist. Always verify your logic and presentation. Meticulous question scanning, precise timing budgets, and rigorous systematic review, that is your ultimate formula.
Flight complete. You now possess the exact telemetry and framework required to completely dominate the Cambridge Arabic Language 8680 Paper 2. Remember, examiners are not trying to trick you. They are sitting at their consoles, just waiting for you to explicitly show them your evaluative logic. Stop memorizing generic answers and start analyzing. Now, I want to hear from the crew. Drop a comment below right now sharing exactly which Cambridge syllabus and level you are targeting next. Hit that notification bell for our next masterclass, and we will see you back at Mission Control very soon. Keep your trajectories locked,